State Governor Dapo Abiodun announces President Bola Tinubu's approval for oil drilling in Ogun State. It's a very interesting one. This issue of oil drilling, we have dry ports, proposed, and also the seaport, which, for close to a decade, if not more than a decade, that has been in the pipeline. We've been hearing about it. We've been they've talked about the depth of the local seaport. We've talked about a lot of things which is deposited in Ogun State. I'm talking about mineral resources. Now the governor is saying this is the time, and the president also approved it. According to the governor, he confirmed this yesterday that the president has approved, this drilling in Ogun State. Now, you've over time you've read, you've even written stories about this in the last couple of years. Now, hearing that the president approval, what comes to mind?
Let me tell you, it's a welcome development. It's just that people are no longer interested in talk shows. We talk too much in Nigeria. People want to see action. And that is why we have become a laughing stock in the global space concerning Nigeria. We are so much blessed, but a lot of our blessings are still buried underneath the ground, which ought to make this nation one of the economic buoyant nations of the world. You see, when you are talking of oil drilling in Ogun State, Tongeji Island being approved, I recall vividly, I've been in Tongeji Island. I used to be the governor's office correspondent for this very station in 1994, when the then military administrator, retired Colonel, now retired Colonel Daniel Akitonde was the military administrator of Ogun State. We taught that area. We were on sea, on boat for more than 45 minutes. So I know how the island is. I've been there. I've written reports concerning it. And that's why I started by saying, enough of talk show. Let's see the action. A lot of resources are yet buried underneath the ground. And we are crying foul of hunger. We are crying foul of poor economy. We are crying foul that we lack this, we lack that. The earlier, even though some people will say it's getting late, it is better to be late than be delayed. Because right now, once these ones are getting exploited, maybe they'll be using the latest technology to do the exploitation. And it will be to the benefit of Nigeria, even much more, when we are looking for an expected reconstitution, or let me put it this way, a devolution of power with the amendment that is going on at the National Assembly concerning certain constitutional issues they want to take, particularly on the issue of revenue allocation. And then coupled with the fact that we have just started this year the new tax reforms. It behoves on states to now be awakened in the real exploitation, of resources within the various states, the various nationals coming up together to exploit what they have on ground to better the economy of their people. And what are we trying to say? Yes, we have Tongeji Island in Ogun State now for exploitation of oil. The eastern part of the state equally has an unexploited, what do you call it now? The largest reserve of this asphalt that they use for bitumen, that you use for turning off roads. When you get to Ogun West, it's there. And that is why the issue of export processing zone, or local, which has been on the table for years. It's not just now. I heard you say about a decade, even more than that. When all these things are being put on paper, are dusted, and implementation commence, we will have a better buoyant economy, coupled with the fact that even with the current level that the present administration has taken Ogun State as the economic, the industrial hub of the nation now, you know, it will go a long way to help, rather than depending on what they get from federal allocation every month from Abuja.
Now looking at the issue of, also the issue of dry seaport came up, and you know, I think this will do a lot of benefit to the, you know, Apapa, where you see a lot of congestions and a lot of, I'm looking at the business side of it and the fact that it's going to relieve that side when it comes, and the benefit, the gain. We talk about the idea of Ogun State. We know what it is now, and this, you know, coming, just like you say, I hope it you know, work starts. There's, you know, funding from the federal government, and also, I'm sure the state government is also ready, you know, and when this happens, we will talk about what the Ogun State will now be generating in terms of the revenue. But looking at the issue of Apapa, looking at the issue of you know, the congestion there, the dry seaport, what do you think would also be a relief for Ogun, looking at the approval?
It's an added input to what we have on ground. You know, most majority of the problems that we seem to have is the fact that we lack infrastructures. So if you have dry seaport here, coupled with the Gateway International Airport that we have, that's another plus to raise the level of industrial development in Ogun State. And mind you, with the federal government now executing the coastal road from Lagos to Calabar, you can imagine the potentials that one we have, because I tell you, there is no way that road will not pass through Ogun State, because there are some portions that before you get to Ondo, you will get to Ogun State. And so it will be a spiral effect of benefit for the dominant communities around those areas. And of course, many ports are likely to spring up along that path that will give relief to the Apapa and the Tinkan Island ports that we have in Lagos. You know, it's a shame that Nigeria, that is over, we are over how many years now? We are over 65 now. We are going 66. We are still relying on two ports. Thank God for two ports, that Tinkan Island that was on in 1973 or so, if I'm right. You know, if not for Tinkan Island that relieved when the cement Amanda happened during the era of Murtala Obasanjo regime, when we had a cement glut, you know, a cement recession, when there was lack of adequate cement availability for building, for the building industry in Nigeria, that we had to rely on importation, you know, because it was only in Kalagu and the one you call Lafayette, and then it used to be WAPCO, that in Ewekoro here in Ogun State, that were merely doing the production of cement. So there were shortages in the area of cement production in the country. So, but as a result of that, the Tinkan Island formed part of relief for Apapa seaport. So with the dry seaport that you are seeing, and then with the effect of coming on board of the Gateway International Airport at Iperu, that the present administration has done, it's an added input to the infrastructure that we have on ground. But my worry is, how do we maintain, sustain, increase? Because we cannot stay where we are. There are others who are still willing, they have what we have, and before you know it, they will surpass. But we should continue to move on. And that is why a lot of people are always looking to the neighboring state, Lagos State, for most of the things. And that's why it is happening that the sleeping giant is waking up in terms of doing the needful for the resources that God has blessed Ogun State, a state that by February the 3rd will be 50.
Well, yes, it's a win-win for Ogun State, considering the oil drilling approval, and definitely, just like I said, you know, the IGR of Ogun State is about to, you know, move higher beyond, you know, what we want to say we will really want to envisage.